Hi, I'm Charles,
And I'm Angela,
and we want to share a little bit from our lives.
and hope that our experience may be of some benefit to you all.
So, let's go.
So, what is your favorite way to vacation? Now, we love to travel and we will go anywhere and do most anything. But one of our very favorite ways to really relax over the years has been to take a cruise. Have you ever thought about just getting on a boat and sailing away into the deep blue ocean away from it all? It's total relaxation.
Well, if you have, you're in luck. Because today's cruise lines offer an amazing vacation experience at a very affordable price. We've been avid cruisers for quite a few years now, and we find it to be one of the easiest, most relaxing vacations you can take. We just returned from our most recent cruise. It was an 8-day Caribbean cruise, and man, it was nice.
If you would think you'd like to try cruising, stay tuned as we share what we have learned over the years of sailing the high seas.
Now, this video is really just a basic overview. We have other videos that will be more specific, but on this video, we're going to be talking about 4 primary topics, 4 very important questions. Number 1, how long is your cruise? I mean, how many days are you going to be gone? Number 2, where is your cruise port located? Can you drive there or will you have to fly? Can you walk the long gangway to get on the boat or will you need wheelchair assistance to do so? Now, most ports offer this option. And if you drive, where and what is the cost of parking? Number 3, what is needed for registration and check-in at the terminal? And number 4, once on board, what's next?
One good thing for sure, you won't have to worry about cooking, washing, cleaning bathrooms, or doing laundry for at least a week. Our very first cruise did not give us an affinity for cruising. In fact, we didn't cruise for quite a while after our first attempt. And it was just because it was one of these fluky weather things. We went on a 3-day cruise just to the Bahamas from Port Canaveral. And we did it with my sister and her family and our family. And we thought we were going to have a wonderful time. And it started out great. But the second day, a weather front moved in and it was storming and the waves were choppy and the ship was rocking and rolling. Water was coming out of the pools onto the decks. They had to drain and shut all the pools down. And it was quite a mess. I got seasick. I didn't know about Bonine or Meclizine or anything to take before going on a cruise. So I spent the rest of the cruise in bed, asleep, because I took something, I think it was Dramamine, that made me so sleepy I couldn't hold my eyes open. So after that experience, I decided cruising just wasn't for me.
But a friend told us later about a product named Bonine. We tried it, and about 5 years later, we tried cruising again and have been hooked ever since.
Ever since.
Yep. Now, your cruises typically take 3 to 7 days, something like that. And that 3 to 4 day cruise will cover a weekend. That's pretty general, cover a weekend. If it's a 5 to 7 day cruise, yeah, leave your dogs at home. 5 to 7 day cruise, it'll cover a week. But there are longer cruises that go 8 to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks or more, especially if they are what they call transatlantic or repositioning cruises. On this last cruise, one guy told us about a repositioning cruise where they were in Alaska and they repositioned the cruise ship to New York. So they had to sail down through the Panama Canal and come back up the other side of the United States. It was about a 2-week cruise. Yeah, but that one would be fun.
When we lived in Orlando, we had no problem driving to a cruise port. There were like 5 within a relatively short driving distance from us. There was Jacksonville, Port Canaveral, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and Tampa. So it was super easy. However,
We have retired and moved. So access is not as easy as in the past. Like many of you, we have a cruise coming up where we're going to have to fly to the port.
And that may affect how you pack. How many bags do you take? How much can each bag suitcase weigh? What has to be checked? What can be carried on? So consider the travel cost and baggage restrictions involved in reaching your cruise port. If you're driving, there are no restrictions because cruise ships do not impose restrictions on baggage that you can bring on board. The sky's the limit. But as you know, when you fly, it's a totally different matter.
Starting 2 weeks before you get to the cruise port, a check-in window opens for you to register online and print off your documents. Carnival has recently introduced a thing called a Verifly app, but it's not working so great so far. I think they have some bugs to work out on it.
Some people have used it with success. Others have had problems.
But here's what happens on your online registration, okay? You enter your personal info and you choose a check-in time. That's usually a 30-minute window when you get to the port. There will be links online for your boarding pass and your luggage tags, an itinerary to the full cruise, an initial invoice, and purchase services that you might have already made. Purchase services, I'm talking about things like excursions that you've already booked. One thing that we do is we order a case of water and it's waiting for us in the room. Well, that case of water I think is like $5, something like that. It's not much. But these things will show up on your invoice already. And then the other thing that you need to do, and I'm talking about Carnival because that's the cruise line we've used the most, you need to download an app called the Carnival Hub. This app will include all your activities, your dining menus, your ports, a map of the ship, your billing account. It's all on the hub.
Well before the date of your cruise, make sure you have the following documents. Your boarding pass, you're going to print that off from your online account. Your photo ID, we typically use our driver's license. A passport or a government-issued birth certificate. Now, I would suggest always traveling outside of the country with a passport. Too many crazy things can happen, too many unexpected things. However, if you are going on a closed loop cruise, that means you leave from a U.S. port and you return to a U.S. port, you can travel with a government issued birth certificate. But as I said, things can happen. For instance, last week, a Norwegian cruise ship got stranded on a sandbar off the Dominican Republic. They were stranded for 2 days. They finally got free. They went to the nearest port, and then their passengers had to get off the ship and they were flying them back home. Well, the Dominican Republic wouldn't let some of the passengers off the ship into the port to fly back home because they didn't have a passport. So, I mean, that can be worked around. They can visit the local embassy, but it's just more expensive, takes longer. And so it's always better to travel with a passport if you're going to travel internationally outside the country. And at this point in time, March of 2022, proof of a recent negative COVID test taken no more than 72 hours before embarkation. We typically just 13 days before our 72-hour mark, we go online and make an appointment at CVS. And it's the simplest little thing. It takes 5 minutes maybe. And you're done. And before we got home, we had the results in a text, which we were able to show at the cruise port. There are also home proctored tests that you can order if you're not near a CVS, or maybe as when we travel later this year, you're having to fly across the country. And so we have already ordered our tests to take with us to do the home proctored test at that time.
Right.
Finally, the cruise day has arrived. Before you leave for the port, make sure you find out which pier your cruise ship is docked, especially if you're the one driving. The last cruise we had was on the Carnival Magic at Port Canaveral. We checked the port website and it showed where the various ships were docked, because when you go into a cruise port terminal, there are going to be probably who knows how many ships in port at the same time, because typically cruises begin on a Saturday or a Sunday. I mean, there are other days, but that's typical. So you'll have many cruise ships in port at the same day, and you will need to know which terminal to go to, or you'll end up driving around in circles for a while. Upon arrival to your terminal, you will be guided to a luggage drop-off where your porters will assist you. They will take your luggage. You should tip them $3 to $5. And after that, you will proceed to the parking garage or parking lot. Most cruise ports have a parking garage now. Lock your car. Be sure you don't lock your keys inside. Terminal parking costs anywhere from $17 to $30 a day, depending on what port from which you're sailing. Our most recent Port Canaveral was $21. We'll be sailing from New York later in the year. It's going to be, I'm not sure, but between $30 and $40 from what I've checked so far. There are off-terminal lots that will save you a little money and provide transportation to the terminal. We prefer to use terminal parking, however, because when we return from the cruise, it's so much easier. We don't have to wait on getting a taxi or getting a hold of the people at the lot where our car is located to come get us. Our car is right there. We get in it and drive away. When you get to the terminal, after you've checked your luggage, after you've parked your car and you've entered the terminal, make sure you have your documents in a safe but easy to access location, because you're going to need to have them out, because they're going to process the line fast. And they're going to want you to have your documents in hand and ready. You're going to proceed typically to a first check-in desk, and that's simply to confirm that you're in the right place, going onto the right ship, and you have your documents ready. Then you're going to go to the second line, which is your official check-in point. And if you've done the pre-check online, that goes very quickly. All they're doing at that point is just double checking your documents in person to make sure you are who you're supposed to be, and then you're just ready to go. From that location, you will either go onto the ship if it's your check-in time or later, or you will go to a waiting room until they call your boarding number. You will have a boarding number that will be assigned to you, and it will be on your documents.
After a successful check-in, you must walk the hallways in the terminal in the extensions that connect the ship to the terminal. Okay? Now, if you're not up for this walk, most ports will have elevators, escalators, and or wheelchair assistance to get you on board.
Because remember how tall a cruise ship is. You're typically entering the cruise ship on deck 3 or 4. So you're going to be walking a lot of elevated passageways, if not stairs, to get onto the ship.
Right.
Now, once you're on the ship, the very first thing that you should do, please do this. Too many people don't do it, and it causes a lot of delay. Muster drill. Everybody has to do muster drill. It's government required. No one can get away without doing this. It used to be a big pain. You had a certain time, you had to line up on the outside decks, and you were packed tight. And they went through the whole process of how to put a life jacket on and off, and what to do if there was a problem where we had to abandon the ship. Thankfully, I'm not thankful for COVID, but thankfully due to COVID, they had to redo the muster drill. So now it's simple as it can be. You have a muster station, which again will be on your boarding pass, and you will go to that muster station. And when you go to the muster station, there will be a cruise member there who will check you in, show you how to put on a life vest. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you're done. That's it. Later in your cabin, they ask you to watch a short video, again, about the same issue. And Shaquille O'Neal is the one doing the video, and it's hilarious. So it's fun. And that's all there is to muster drill. It's just so important. So many people board the ship, they start partying, they visit the buffet and the bars, And they forget all about muster drill. And every single cruise that we've been on or know someone has been on, they're calling people's names at sail away to come and do the muster drill before the ship can leave port, because it is a requirement.
Yeah, in fact, I saw a video just recently where a guy told an experience where the ship shut down all bars and all restaurants because they had like 400
people,
400 people that hadn't checked in.
And it was sail away time.
It was crazy. But remember this, by law, the ship cannot sail until every passenger has attended muster. They will keep track of this, so don't start drinking and partying and neglect your muster drill.
For us, we quickly follow our little muster drill, our trip to see how to put on a life vest, to a trip to Lido, or buy a trip to Lido. There are so many options for lunch on the day you sail away, but all of them are excellent. We typically try to find the one on sail away day that is the least busy. Unless we get on the ship really early, and then there's almost no one on this huge ship, so you have your choice. But you can check out all the eating places and decide where you want to have your very first lunch on ship.
Yeah. One of the favorites is Guy's Burgers.
Not for me.
Okay, your cruise cabin will most often be ready by about 1:30 p.m., something like that. So you can enjoy the amenities of the ship between your boarding time and 1:30. At that time, you can place your carry-on baggage into your cabin. Checked baggage usually doesn't arrive until later that afternoon, maybe even early evening. Typically 3 p.m. is the deadline for boarding the ship. And remember, again, your muster drill must be completed before sail away.
Sail away time is typically 4 to 5 p.m. It will be on your itinerary, so you'll know. And it's accompanied by a huge party on Lido. Now, Lido is the big, usually an upper deck of the ship. It could be on deck 9, 10, 11, or 12. You'll have to look at your ship's
Depends on the ship.
Deck plans for that. Depends on the ship, but it is so much fun. There's usually a great big screen there, and their pools and just lots of places to have fun. But there's a huge party there at Sail Away, and most people go up on deck and join in the Sail Away party and celebrate the beginning of the cruise. It's a really exciting time. After the party, most people will go to their cabin, unpack their luggage if it's arrived yet, and get ready for dinner. That's why we always make sure we're either wearing on board or pack a little something different for dinner. First night dinner on board is cruise casual. It doesn't have to be anything dressy or fancy. Each evening, you have the option of dining in the dining room, which will serve you the most formal dinners, although there are only 1 or 2 formal nights on most typical cruises where you have to dress formally, but it's still a nice sit-down dinner every night. Or the Lido buffet, where you can serve yourself a variety of delicious, all kinds of foods. And there are many specialty restaurants. Most of them will require advance reservations for dinner, and they also have a fee involved. However, at lunch, a lot of those same specialty restaurants will serve lunch for free and no reservations.
So if you come to the end of the cruise and you're hungry, it's your fault.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, your cruise will consist of what they call sea days and port days. A 3 to 8 day cruise, you have usually at least 1 to 3 sea days and 2 to 4 port days.
A sea day is simply a day when you're traveling in the open water to your next destination, and you will be on the ship all day. It's one of our favorite types of days. In fact, sometimes we take sea days when everybody else is in port because it maybe is a port we've been to a lot.
Yeah.
And we just enjoy having that big ship with just very few people on it.
Modern cruise ships can have more than you can possibly do in one day. And yeah, you can eat, read, take a nap, have a third cup of coffee. The choices
Are endless.
Port days are the days when your ship will be docked at a predetermined location. On our last cruise, we had 3 port days. Those port days included Aruba, Bonaire, and Grand Turk.
So as you're doing your planning before leaving home, consider what you want to do on the days your ship is in port. There are a huge variety of excursions. Those are little places to go, things to see. And they're always guided if you book them through the cruise ship, or sometimes you can go online if you're familiar with the port and you feel comfortable, especially after you've had some experience, and book your own private excursions in the different ports. But they allow you to do all kinds of things, from simply going to a beach and having a beautiful beach day, to going parasailing, to exploring another island, to going to diving, to snorkeling. Anything you can imagine that port offers would be available to you.
Yeah, but one warning, if you're booking your own excursion, okay, not the ship's excursion, but if you're booking one on your own, make sure your watch is set to ship's time. You might be traveling through different time zones. If you're not back on board by time for sail away, guess what? The ship will leave without you.
Yeah, there's kind of a fun thing that a lot of people on cruise ships learn to do, and that is watch for pier runners.
Pier runners.
And that is the people who have lost track of time and they're running to catch the ship before sail away. Don't be a pier runner. Watch for future videos. We're going to do a video about different excursions in various ports.
The last day of the cruise, your luggage must be outside your cabin door by 11 p.m. Okay, that's your checked baggage. Be sure to keep your carry-on bag with toiletries, medicines, and clothes for the next day.
You will be given a debarkation time and location for the next morning. Typically, you are required to be off the ship by 9 a.m. since COVID. We used to be able to stay on to 10:30, but not any longer.
Yeah. Honestly, this is the worst day of the cruise.
You have to go home and go back to work.
Exactly.
Even if you're retired, you still have to go back to
So I
work.
have to go back home. Yeah.
You will be given a debarkation zone number and be told where to meet when your zone is called. This number is also located on your luggage tags.
And you may have the option of going to Lido deck, we talked about that, Lido, and enjoying breakfast before your zone is called. Now, breakfast is usually available a little earlier on debarkation days.
When your zone is called, you should proceed to the debarkation area. Usually you will exit from deck 3 or 4 atrium. It would be the same place that you entered the ship on embarkation day.
Yeah. Once you're in the terminal, after you've exited the ship and you're in the terminal, you will go through immigration. You will have to declare any purchases that you have made, and you will have to present your passport for re-entry to the United States. Although this last time we came back in, it was kind of interesting. All they did was say, pull your mask down, and it was a facial recognition thing. And they just went, oh yeah, okay, you're good.
Amazingly easy.
Yeah.
But then we didn't purchase anything while we were on the cruises last time.
We didn't have to declare anything.
Yeah. Then you're going to proceed to the luggage area, much like you would do if you were flying. And porters are around that will take your luggage and take it out to the car for you.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
And you're on your way home. Looking forward to the next cruise. If you have questions about cruising, write them below in the comment section.
We're going to have more videos coming on subjects like budgeting for a cruise, packing guidelines and what essentials you need to remember to take, sea day options and activities on board your cruise ship, the entertainment available on a cruise. It's great. That's one of our favorite parts. Port day plans and excursions, and food options on your cruise.
That's one of my favorite parts. So thanks for joining us on our retirement journey. If you've enjoyed this video, I encourage you to click like,
subscribe,
and let's discover the possibilities that lie ahead for you.
Hey guys,
We have another cruise coming up very quickly, and I'm going to be taking some pictures and video of the cruise cabin because I want to do a video about cruise accommodations. Now, some of these things you won't be surprised about, but other things might be a little shocking to you. And we're going to start with the bathroom. Keep watching. Hi.
Wait. Your hair is a mess. Did you do
What's
anything?
wrong with my hair?
Just maybe it'll stay.
Okay.
It has to be. There is a black dog in the front yard.
Black dog.
A little black dog.
But we're going to be talking about 4 very important questions. One of them is how to kill your dog.
Sit with us this morning in this neighborhood. This is the craziest thing ever.
I'm going to put this.
I don't think it's straight.
And we want to share a little bit from our lives.
And hope that our experience, can we do that? I'm sorry.